Right now, as you watch this video, your brain is lying to you, not in some metaphorical way. I mean, literally constructing a version of reality that doesn't fully exist. You're seeing colors that aren't really there, filling in gaps in your vision that you don't even know are missing, and creating a seamless experience of the world that is fundamentally an illusion. Before we get started, check out the link in the description to download our ebook. Here's what I mean. Close one eye. Now, with that eye closed, try to find your blind spot. You can't see it, can you? That's because your brain is papering over a massive hole in your vision, a spot where your optic nerve connects to your retina and you literally cannot see anything. But you've never noticed it. Your brain just invents what should be there. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. But sometimes, this feature goes haywire, and when it does, you start seeing, hearing, or experiencing things that simply aren't there. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating quirks of human consciousness, the brain glitch that makes you perceive what doesn't exist. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never trust your senses quite the same way again. So what exactly is this brain glitch we're talking about? Let's start with a fundamental truth. Your brain does not experience reality directly. Think about that for a second. Everything you see here, touch, taste, or smell, is not the actual world. It's your brain's best guess about what's out there, based on incomplete information. Here's an analogy. Imagine your brain is a movie director, and your senses are camera crews scattered around a massive film set. These cameras are sending back footage, but it's grainy. There are gaps. Some cameras malfunction, and the footage arrives with delays. Your brain, the director, has to take all this messy, incomplete data and edit it together into a smooth, coherent movie that you experience as reality. Most of the time, your director brain does an incredible job, but sometimes it makes assumptions. It fills in details that weren't in the footage. It draws on memories, expectations, and patterns to complete the picture. And occasionally, it gets things wrong. That's the glitch. In neuroscience, we call this top-down processing. Your brain doesn't just passively receive information from the world, it actively predicts what should be there based on past experience, and then checks those predictions against incoming sensory data. When the data is ambiguous or missing, your brain just runs with its prediction. And that's when you can end up seeing, hearing, or experiencing something that isn't actually there. This happens on a spectrum. At the mild end, you have optical illusions, and those moments where you swear you heard someone call your name in a crowded room. At the extreme end, you have full-blown hallucinations. But it's all the same basic mechanism, your brain constructing reality rather than recording it. Let me give you some mind-blowing examples of this in action. First, let's talk about the Hermann grid illusion. If you look at a grid of black squares on a white background, you'll see ghostly gray dots appearing at the intersections of the white lines. But here's the thing, those dots aren't there. If you look directly at an intersection, the dot disappears. Your visual system is creating these phantom dots because of how it processes contrast and edges. Your brain is literally adding something to your experience that doesn't exist in the image. Then there's the famous rubber hand illusion, demonstrated in countless psychology labs. Researchers hide your real hand behind a screen and place a rubber hand in front of you. Then they simultaneously stroke both the rubber hand and your hidden real hand with a paintbrush. Within minutes, your brain starts to believe the rubber hand is your hand. People report feeling the touch on the rubber hand. Some even flinch when researchers threaten the rubber hand with a knife. Your brain has been tricked into incorporating a piece of rubber into your body map. One of my favorite examples comes from auditory research. Scientists have shown that when people listen to speech in a noisy environment, the brain doesn't just filter out noise and hear what's actually being said. It actively predicts what words should come next, based on context, and sometimes people literally hear words that were never spoken. In one study, researchers played sentences with certain words replaced by coughs or static. Listeners reported hearing the complete sentence with the missing word clearly audible. But it wasn't there. Their brains had filled it in so seamlessly that it became indistinguishable from actual perception. And here's where it gets really wild. There's a phenomenon called the Tetris effect, named after the classic video game. People who play Tetris for hours start seeing Tetris pieces everywhere. They look at buildings and mentally rotate them to fit together. They see Tetris shapes in their peripheral vision. They dream in falling blocks. Their brains have been so primed by the game that the pattern recognition system goes into overdrive, imposing Tetris on reality itself. Perhaps most stunning are cases of Charles Bonnet syndrome, where people with vision loss experience vivid, complex hallucinations. These aren't psychotic episodes. These are otherwise mentally healthy people whose brains, deprived of normal visual input, essentially start making up their own. They see people who aren't their elaborate scenes, patterns, and objects, all generated entirely by their own neural activity. It's your brain's movie director working without any camera footage whatsoever. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's all fascinating, but I'm not playing Tetris for 8 hours or experiencing vision loss. How does this affect me? The answer is, constantly, every single day. Ever been absolutely certain you heard your phone buzz, checked it, and there was no notification? That's your brain predicting a pattern it's learned to expect. You've checked your phone so many times after feeling a buzz that your brain now sometimes generates the sensation even when nothing happened. How about this? You're reading a text or an email quickly, and you completely miss a typo. Not because you didn't look at the word, but because your brain auto-corrected it. You literally saw a word that wasn't written. Your brain predicted what should be there based on context and showed you that instead of what was actually on the screen. Or, here's a common one. You're driving a familiar route, maybe your commute home, and suddenly you arrive with almost no memory of the drive itself. You were on autopilot. Your brain was predicting every turn, every stop sign, every lane change so accurately based on repetition that it barely bothered processing the actual sensory information. You were essentially driving through a memory rather than through reality. Ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? That's partly because your brain chunks experiences by context and location. When you move through a doorway, your brain updates its model of reality, and sometimes, in that update, it drops information. The glitch made you forget. Here's one that's almost universal: false memories. Research shows that every time you recall a memory, you're not pulling up a recording, you're reconstructing it. And each reconstruction is slightly different, influenced by your current knowledge, emotions, and expectations. Studies have shown that people can be made to remember entire events that never happened, complete with sensory details, just through suggestion and repeated questioning. Your memory isn't a video archive. It's a creative storyteller that sometimes writes fiction. So why would our brains work this way? Why not just accurately record reality like a camera? The answer comes down to evolution and efficiency. Your brain is incredibly expensive to run. It's about 2% of your body weight, but uses roughly 20% of your energy. In the ancestral environment where humans evolved, energy was scarce. Food wasn't guaranteed. Your brain had to be as efficient as possible. Processing every piece of sensory information in complete detail would be impossibly slow and energy-intensive. Think about it. Your eyes are constantly making tiny movements called saccades several times per second. Your head moves, objects move, light changes. If your brain tried to process every single photon hitting your retina as independent information, you'd be overwhelmed. Instead, your brain evolved to take shortcuts. It learned to predict, to fill in gaps, to use past experience to make educated guesses about what's probably out there. And most of the time, these predictions are correct. Most of the time, that rustling in the grass is just wind. That shadow is just a shadow. Your brain fills in the details, and you move on. But here's the key evolutionary insight. It's better to occasionally see something that isn't there than to miss something that is. If your ancestor heard a sound and their brain created a false perception of a predator, they'd be scared for nothing. But they'd survive. If their brain failed to detect an actual predator because it was waiting for perfect sensory information, they'd be dead. This is called the smoke detector principle. Your smoke detector goes off sometimes when you're just cooking dinner. That's annoying. But you tolerate false alarms because the alternative, missing a real fire, is catastrophic. Your brain works the same way. It's biased toward seeing patterns, toward filling in gaps, toward predicting threats, even if that means sometimes perceiving things that aren't real. There's also the speed issue. The world moves fast. Predators attack in milliseconds. Decisions need to be made now. Your brain literally doesn't have time to carefully analyze every detail before acting. So it developed this prediction-based system that lets you react to your brain's model of reality, rather than waiting for reality itself to be fully processed. The glitch is the price we pay for speed. Let me hit you with some mind-bending facts about how your brain constructs reality. Fact number 1, you are constantly hallucinating right now. I'm not being dramatic. Neuroscientist Anil Seth argues that all perception is controlled hallucination. Your brain is generating a model of reality, and then sensory information either confirms that model or forces updates to it. What you're experiencing right now is your brain's hallucination of reality being constrained by actual sensory data. But the hallucination is primary. The sensory correction is secondary. Here's fact number 2. Your brain is living in the past. This sounds wild, but it takes time for sensory information to travel from your eyes and ears to your brain, and more time for your brain to process it. Estimates vary, but you're experiencing the world on about a 50 to 100 millisecond delay. Everything you're seeing right now already happened. You're living in the past. To compensate, your brain predicts where things will be and shows you that prediction. It's constantly fast-forwarding reality to keep you in sync. When athletes talk about being in the zone and time slowing down, they might be experiencing a moment where their prediction system is working so well that they're conscious of this normally invisible process. Fact number 3, the colors you see don't exist in the world. There's no such thing as red or blue in reality. There are electromagnetic waves of different frequencies, but color is a creation of your brain. Your brain takes these wavelengths and paints them with qualia, with subjective experience. Different species see different colors. Some see colors we can't imagine. Some are colorblind. The rainbow you see is a hallucination, a useful fiction your brain creates to help you navigate reality. And here's the kicker. We have no way of knowing if the red you see is the same as the red I see. We both call it red, but the actual subjective experience might be completely different. There's no way to compare. So, what does all this mean? First, it means we need to be humble about our own perceptions. Eyewitness testimony, long considered the gold standard in courts, is notoriously unreliable. People are absolutely certain they saw something, but studies show memory is malleable. Perception is constructed, and confidence has almost no correlation with accuracy. Innocent people have gone to prison because juries trusted confident eyewitnesses who were genuinely wrong. It means our arguments, our certainties, our absolute convictions about what we saw or heard or experienced need to be held more lightly. Two people can witness the same event and come away with genuinely different perceptions, not because one is lying, but because their brains constructed different versions of reality based on different expectations, attention, and prior beliefs. This has implications for everything from politics to relationships. If you understand that everyone is walking around experiencing their own brain's model of reality rather than reality itself, you become more compassionate. That person who remembers the conversation completely differently than you do, they're not gaslighting you. They might genuinely remember it that way. Their brain constructed a different movie. It also means we should be cautious about trusting our intuitions too much. That gut feeling, that unshakable certainty, it might be your brain's prediction system firing based on pattern recognition. Sometimes it's brilliant. Sometimes it's completely wrong, seeing patterns that aren't there, filling in gaps with assumptions. But here's the beautiful part. Understanding this doesn't make life meaningless or perception worthless. It makes it miraculous. Your brain is constantly performing computational magic, taking ambiguous data and constructing a rich, detailed, mostly accurate experience of reality. The fact that it works as well as it does is stunning. And when you understand the glitch, you can work with it. You can recognize when your brain might be filling in details. You can question your certainties. You can appreciate optical illusions and auditory tricks, not as flaws, but as windows into the incredible predictive machinery running behind your eyes. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Right now, your brain is creating the reality you're experiencing. The chair you're sitting in, the screen you're looking at, the sound of my voice. It's all a controlled hallucination, a model your brain built based on sensory data, past experience, and prediction. And that means every person you meet, every conversation you have, every disagreement about what happened or what was said, you're not just dealing with different opinions. You're dealing with different realities, constructed by different brains running slightly different software. The next time you're absolutely certain you saw something, heard something, or remember something clearly, pause. Ask yourself, is this what happened? Or is this what my brain predicted happened? Is this reality? Or is this my brain's best guess? Because we're all walking around with this incredible, beautiful, occasionally glitchy prediction machine between our ears, and the more we understand it, the more we can appreciate both its power and its limitations. Your brain is lying to you right now, but it's doing its best, and that's kind of amazing. If this video made you question your own perception, made you see your mind in a new light, hit that like button and share it with someone whose brain you'd like to glitch. And drop a comment telling me about a time your brain absolutely convinced you of something that turned out to be completely wrong. Let's collect some glitch stories. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't believe everything you see, including this video. Your brain is already rewriting it anyway.